Good morning. Happy Tuesday, September 2nd. Go ahead and like this video, comment, share this recording with your fellow solopreneurs. Welcome to all the power hitters, Solar Warrior Tribe, and our solar family. I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. I'm joined as always with my co-host, Mr. Tom Cotter. How was your Labor Day, Tom?
It was pretty quiet. It was just me trying to make last minute travel plans from my sister that wanted to do 3 days in Paris instead of just the whole time in London. So changing flights, changing hotels, trying to do it on points and not pay much money.
When do you
So,
leave?
Friday at 5 in the morning.
And you're gone for a few weeks?
Uh, yes, yeah. Well, month and
We'll
a half.
see.
I don't have a ticket back yet, but I'm gone for a month and a half, and then I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. You're trying to be like Chris Bernasso, travel the world and do solar at the same time.
Problem is, he when he leaves Europe, that's when I get there. So
Ah, bummer. All right, y'all. Well, as always, we like to share some success stories out there. We just wrapped up the month of August, so we have a few people on the leaderboard that did extremely well. But I would love to hear some success stories out there. So raise your hand, come off of mute. If you want to type one or two in the chat, we'd love to hear about it. Even just anything successful over the Labor Day weekend, personal or business. I'll go ahead and start here. I'm going to show off for a second. I was in the Las Vegas PPA pickleball tournament,
oh
and
my
this
gosh,
this is 4.0 mixed doubles. So I was there Saturday and Sunday, and Sunday I took silver for second place
that's pretty
in
cool.
in pickleball tournament indoors in the convention center. So there's a little success story for you guys.
Love it. That's pretty cool. I saw Rick Joseph had a contract come in this morning. Uh,
Awesome.
Craig Bloom had a new contract this morning. See, Bill Conley had an install come in. Got all kinds of stuff going on.
Very cool. Some quick shout outs on the leaderboards here. And again, if you want, raise your hand, type some wins in the chat. We've had Byron with 22 deals in the month of August. My goodness. Brian Rohn crushing it, 12. Julian Todd Borden, 12. Tyler, 8. I was able to pull up 7. Joel Gossett, 6. Joshua, Davelin, Oscar, and Jose rounding out the top 10 sales. Recruiting, people that brought in setters, new recruits to the company as well, in the middle here on your dashboard. And then our closers, our tier 3 mentor closers, those helping others close their leads. Mitchell K, shout out 13. Mohammed at 6. Eric Goldstein 5. Dennis 5. Drew Sugarman always solid at 5. Craig Bloom 4. Carlos, Owen Carey, Mike C, and Tom Cotter rounding out the top 10 closers for the month of August. So
I want to give Mike B a shout out specifically. 18 people that he brought in 2.5 weeks ago. He had a cardiac event. His heart stopped for 6 minutes, and they did CPR on him for 15 minutes. And he's still bringing in 18 people with, with with dealing with that. He was basically gone, and they brought him back. So yeah, glad you're here, Mike, and congratulations on your success. And that's why I tell you, even from the hospital bed, he's joining Zooms and doing stuff, telling him, slow down, a
wow,
little bit of R&R there.
awesome. And then just as a reminder, y'all, we have literally 28 days left for the Summer Champions contest. So you definitely want to try to make your way because they're giving away like 30, 40 prizes. So first prize, $15,000, and the top 20 winners get to go on a work hard, play hard trip in Mexico like we always do. Second place, 5 grand, third place, 3 grand, fourth and fifth place, lots of cash. 6 through 20, awesome new branded Powur Nikes. And even the top 60 places get t-shirts, polos, or backpacks. So if we look at the list here, Byron barely took Julian over, but I think Julian's going to make a run for it this month and bring it back home. Mitchell Mathney, Brian Rohn, Mitchell Casper, Tyler, Eric Goldstein, Michael Daniels, myself pulling off 93 points with Mike Craner, Benita Shaw on the call here, Jordan Shaw, Drew Sugarman, Lenny, Mohammed, Carlos, Owen, Joel, and many other names here. Jack Sneed with the Summer of Contest champion. So we have 28 days to go for that. So I would definitely see where you're at and see if you can get in the top 60 position. All right. I wanted to just do one more shout out too real quickly. So I sent out an email blast. If you posted something regarding solar for Labor Day or contacted your old clients on the Labor Day weekend, put a 1 in the chat. Because I'm going to just be hard on you guys. I mean, those of you that aren't, you're not doing the activities you need to be doing when others aren't watching. Like, it's an email blast, right? It's a social media post. I sent out this email blast and I had one of my top referrers start texting me. And he told me he's struggling with money more than ever right now. Just because I sent out this email blast. He's referred me like 2 or 3 people in the last month. So you always need to be contacting your clients, posting on social media, and taking opportunity whenever you can. I even went into my Claremont Chamber of Commerce portal. I pay to be a member, and I sent a message to the 700 Chamber of Commerce members for Claremont, and I reminded them about solar tax credits ending and how thankful I am for them on Labor Day. So you got to be doing it all, ladies and gentlemen, especially right now. Now's the time with the most urgency ever. All right, let's go to Tom's power perspective of the day.
Agreed with what you said, Jonathan. Agreed. So you all heard the phrase, enjoy the journey. But when you are watching a homeowner drag their feet and the end of the year is getting closer and closer, or you've got to do a change order to, from a Q cell module to a JA or Jinko. Sometimes that gets frustrating, right? It's tough advice to follow to enjoy the journey. In this video that I want to show you, Cody Sanchez, who's an investor, entrepreneur, and founder of a group called Contrarian Thinking, and she's built a lot of businesses. She's got a line that Jonathan shared with me last week that just kind of stuck with me, and she said, "Worrying is practicing atheism. Worrying is practicing atheism." Meaning most of what we stress over isn't even in our control. So watch this video.
Every time I start to worry, I remember that worrying is practicing atheism. You really don't have control over much in life. And yet we spend all of this time obsessing about whether our business is going to make it, whether somebody else cares about what we're doing or not, if our love life's going to go the way that we want to. And I think the thing that's kept me sane after all these years of building businesses is really this one thing, which is that it's not under your control anyways, so why not give it up to God, whatever your version of God is. If that idea helps you, why wouldn't you lean into it a little bit more? Then you get to actually do the thing everybody tells you to do, but it's kind of impossible to do, which is actually enjoy the journey instead of think that once you get to the destination, you'll finally be happy, healthy, wealthy, whatever. Turns out you never are when you reach the destination. There's just a new one, a new point on the GPS. And so I kind of leave my hardships up to God.
So here's the mindset I want us to carry around this week is to release what you can't control and double down on what you can. We can't control a homeowner's ultimate decisions. We can't control what equipment is available, what financing is available, but we can control the conversations we start, the emails we send, the text we send, the options we present, the follow-up that we have, and the energy that we bring to every call and conversation. So this week, when shift happens, pause and ask, is this something I can control? Is this something I can control? And if yes, then go all in. If no, then just let it go. And I think that's how we can keep our heads clear and enjoy the journey and still hit the numbers that we need to for each of our goals and income futures that we want. Jonathan, back to you.
Thank you, Tom. Cool to share that video. Yeah, that was a neat one over the weekend. So, all right, one or two things before we turn it over to the training today. The future training's coming up. Today, we're honored to have Enphase on the call. We have Aurora TPO workshop is back. So if you need help with Aurora, Lightreach, TPO, PPA, attend this Thursday at 11 Pacific on powurcalendar.com. As always, if you have competitor quotes, pricing feedback form is here. We'll put it in the chat. Powur continues to work on our pricing, and any feedback or competitor quotes is much appreciated. And I just really want to focus on, closing out September strong, this contest with the tax credit urgency. We literally have not even a few weeks left to sign up homeowners for the tax credit. And then we get to have the virtual Powur World 2-day event, October 10th and 11th. And I'll put the link for this in the chat here. But like Tom said, shift happens, especially in solar the last year or two. So make sure to register. It's a 2-day event, jam-packed with training, sponsors, different recognition. The CEO will be on stage. So if you haven't attended a virtual Powur World, it's pretty awesome. And I encourage you to sign up for that. There's raffles, prizes, different things that you get when you sign up for virtual Powur World.
And some of you leaders have gotten emails inviting you to speak, to train, to attend that. So if you haven't already gotten back to the team with those, make sure you fill them out quickly so we can get our planning underway for that.
Yep. If you're attending, shift happens, 2-day virtual Powur World, put a yes in the chat. If you are attending, I want to see you there. Yeah, congrats, Benita, on being recognized as a speaker for that as well. All right, last thing here. Our social media shareable of the day is a cute little quick chat GPT. And I'm going to offer you two today. So this is the chat GPT version. Hello, September. A fun little cartoon roof, sun and battery here. Tax credits only available this year. You must act quickly. Solar, roofing, and batteries. We even have roofing in Southern California, standalone product now, FYI. And I'm working with chat over here. I'm going to encourage you, I think, shout out to Bill Conley perhaps, but share a picture of you in action, whatever it is you're doing. For me, it's building homes in Mexico. And I can ask chat to help me type out a, social media on the roof. But Powur now offers roofing. Thanks to Powur, solar, batteries, and roofing. We have a few weeks left to get the tax credit. No pressure, quote, by Zoom or email. And the intention there, if with a picture of yourself and a little bit of a heartfelt message, is that people will interact with it more. If it's just always business, the interactions and analytics will go down. So make sure to keep it personal, throw something fun, light out there. I always recommend, personal, work, business, work, personal, funny, work, right? So you have to mix up your social media posts on your pages.
I was thinking about posting in the chat a picture of Jonathan in a bathtub at an outdoor
please don't
outdoor
do that.
bathtub at an Airbnb. I don't know. It's buried someplace.
It might get some likes. I don't know.
It might.
We'll see. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and turn it over now. So we're honored to have Enphase on here. Alex from Enphase. I'll look forward to seeing them next week in Vegas for RE Plus, an industry convention. This is important to take some notes because they have always been recognized as a great company, premium product with their micro inverters. And they have some new battery technology. They have some new meter collar backup switch devices that help bring down the price in California. And let's be honest, sometimes our competitor quotes are going to have Enphase as well. And so we're thankful that they're one of the 2 or 3 inverter brands that we've supported for many, many, many years here. So Alex, thanks for being here, and take it away, my friend.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Really great to be here on this call, and I think I've seen some familiar faces here. But for those that don't know me, my name is Alex Lepore. I'm the regional sales manager here at Enphase. I've been in solar for almost 8 years now. Although I know I look like I'm 18, I have a lot of experience in the solar industry, coming with a pretty broad background. Please feel welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I have obviously a lot of things I post on LinkedIn regarding Enphase and solar in general. And looking forward to talking about Enphase's new products here today. For those that have jumped into other calls with me there, you guys know I love my beginning of the week acronym. So this week it's CANI. And CANI stands for constant and never-ending improvement. So something I like to live my life by, this idea of, in Japanese word, I think is Kaizen. My acronym is going to be CANI, continuous and never-ending improvement, always refining yourself, becoming better, and certainly using the times to create demand and sling these systems. So it's an exciting time, and I always want to maybe end my little spiel here before going into some slides on, look, with the tax credit ending, there is some doom and gloom in the market, right? With that tax credit going away for cash and loan. But I always like to reiterate and reinforce the fact of energy is not going away, right? The need for energy, particularly, is not going away. Actually, it's increasing. So I want you guys to feel confident, even with the tax credit going away, that into next year, there is still going to be a solar market, right? There is going to be a lot of demand for solar and storage, and solar as an industry is still very, very strong. So let's stay optimistic. Let's focus on what we can control. Shout out Tom for that video. And let's go out there and make it happen, right? That's what I love about sales, is that you are the proprietor of your destiny in a way. So that's my spiel on motivation and acronyms and everything in between. I will go ahead and share some slides regarding what is going on here at Enphase. Bear with me for just a minute. All right, can we all see my screen? The Enphase Energy 2025, hopefully. I think so.
There you go.
Perfect. So it sounds like a lot of folks have worked with Enphase. I've been at Enphase for almost 6 months now, although I come with 7 years of experience in solar. And one thing that I was really impressed with when I joined Enphase was the fact that they had these 3 characteristics, if you will, right? Having the best technology, the best solutions, and we really are the best partner to all constituents and stakeholders within the solar industry. So sometimes I get that question of, well, why Enphase? And I love just showing this kind of one and done slide, if you will. There are going to be more slides, but I like showing this one and done slide of, well, partnering with Enphase gives you access to the best technology, solutions, and having that really strong partnership. And so my slides today will reflect each one of these categories and how, when you partner with Enphase, utilize these solutions, you can add more value, right, to your clients, which in turn, as you guys know already, will lead to more business, right? Whether through referral marketing or just a positive customer experience and satisfaction. And so I always want to talk about the microinverters first before getting into the battery, because there is so many studies out there being done, right? And certainly microinverters are a premium technology. And with microinverters, with microinverters, right, especially maybe in California, this isn't too much of a pain point, at least maybe here in LA, but I know there's folks calling in from all over the US, right? And using our microinverters gives the ability to get more production for more savings over the 25-year warranty period compared to other solutions, right? So here is a modeling scenario that we did here in Cupertino, California with, in PG&E territory, assuming a 6% utility escalator, so on and so forth. And I just want to show that, especially in, let's say, partial shading, right, over $15,000 in savings over 25 years. Later in the slide deck, we'll talk about dollars and cents, right? We'll talk about this idea of having backup capability with the Tensi ecosystem. We'll also talk about dollars and cents, right? What motivates people? Money, right? So we want to have, solutions and communications that reflect more savings, more dollars, and making sense through those dollars when communicating with clients in that talk track. So really can't underestimate or underscore the importance of, yes, microinverters are certainly a premium product, but over 25 years, capture real savings for your clients, right? Capture those savings, help them save more money and maximize their solar investment. So with that said, I'll take a minute, did I miss a slide, to talk about the Tensi ecosystem, right? So for those of you that had sold an Enphase system in years past, you're probably familiar with the third generation system seen here in this top picture. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I think this illustrates that pretty well, right? Where the third gen system, you had the meter main, the IQ load controller, a separate sub panel, the IQ system controller 3, a separate combiner 5C, and then finally 2 5 kilowatt hour batteries. Well, after getting certainly a lot of feedback from folks about, space on the wall and all the boxes needed to sell, install, design the third gen system, Enphase released the very exciting fourth gen system, right? Where you have the meter collar, which goes right on the meter main. For those having sold Tesla, very familiar with this solution. You have the IQ combiner 6C right here in number 3. And then you have the Tensi battery, which is a 10 kilowatt hour battery, but is 62% less wall space than 2 5P solutions. So certainly the goal from Enphase's standpoint when working with the Powur communities is going to be simplified quoting, right? For a 10 kilowatt hour backup solution, generation over generation, we're using half of the materials on the wall, giving you more space to work with because we've shrunk the battery size, and gives you a lot of other features and functionalities that other solutions do not have at this moment. And I'll talk about those a little bit today. So again, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I love just showing the improvements Enphase has made from generation over generation. I do see some things in the chat. I'll get to questions. I didn't look at it yet, but there are questions. Feel welcome to put them in there. I will do Q&A at the end, just as a note, so you don't feel like I'm ignoring you. So again, the 10C battery is 62% less wall space. It's 2 5 kilowatt hour batteries stacked in front of one another with a cover plate, almost like a sandwich. It can deliver 7 kilowatts of continuous power with a 90 amps of LRA support. What that means in layman's terms is that one 10 kilowatt hour 10C battery can start up to a 3.5 ton air conditioning unit. So for those in hotter climates where air conditioning is a very important load, having one 10 kilowatt hour battery can start up that AC unit, and then we can use other products in this ecosystem to control that AC unit. A little bit of foreshadowing there. The chemistry of the battery is LFP, certainly the gold standard when it comes to batteries in terms of safety and longevity. And this can be wall bracketed or installed on a floor pedestal that we have here, all depending on the customer that you're working with, right? What space do they have available? Where do they want to install it? It gives you guys some flexibility and modularity when selling the 10C. Now, because it's wall bracketed, you can install up to 4 of these in parallel for 40 kilowatt hours. But with PCS, which is power control, you can do up to 80 kilowatt hours. So this is really a robust residential solution ranging from 10 to 80 kilowatt hours that can be wall bracketed or installed on the floor pedestal that we have. A really important note is the compatibility is that this works with any of the IQ series microinverters. Certainly works with the 6C and meter collar I'm going through here today. And then we'll have compatibility later this year with the 5P battery that I just showed you on that previous slide. It comes with a 15-year warranty at 6,000 cycles. So certainly, industry-leading warranty. There are a few other companies that have 15 years on the battery, but certainly, up there when compared to other brands out there in terms of the warranty coverage. So very dense, or more dense, let's say, than the 5P, 62% less wall space. And I believe it's actually 30% less wall space than that comparable Tesla system out there that took the market by storm last year. And I think Enphase is going to be coming back, right? Especially when we get into the meter collar. Speaking of the meter collar is available and approved. So those having installed the meter collar or sold it before, we all know it allows for quick and easy whole home backup. And there's no need for any sub-panel labor, in partial backup systems. So the meter collar can go up to 200 amps in a split phase system, 12240, most residential homes, and is compatible with the 10C and IP combiner 6C, but also make a note of it is compatible with the 5P battery and the system controller 3M. So the meter collar allows for whole home backup as this goes right on the meter main, let's say in California. In other states, we have solutions I'll introduce to you here, but it allows for very quick installs and giving you the ability to do whole home backup. Also comes with a 15-year warranty. CTs are built inside the meter collar. So a lot of the feedback I got when I joined Enphase was, folks having to manage different CTs. Well, the CTs are built into the meter collar now. So again, it's just going to simplify not only your job, but my job, right? When folks call me with questions on, well, where are the CTs? Look, it's right in the meter collar. Those are those consumption CTs. The meter collar here can be powered from the microgrid or from the grid. And that is what this redundant power from grid and batteries means, is that other meter collars as of today, which will probably be changed, can only be powered from the battery. They can't be powered from the grid, right? Well, in the event of a blackout, if the battery gets discharged and the meter collar goes off, folks have to make a truck roll, right? That experience from a client is, well, I bought a backup system, but now my system's down and I can't power it up when the grid comes back on. With our meter collar, because it can be powered from both sources, even if the grid goes down, the batteries get discharged because of, let's say, a few days of cloudy weather. When the grid comes back up, the grid can recharge or repower the meter collar here. So the customer experience, again, is very positive because they have a backup system. They certainly understand it's a finite amount of power, but when the grid comes back, the grid can re-energize the system, starting with the meter collar. For folks that, typically a question at this point in the slides is, well, Alex, what do I do with 400 amp services? More on that, reach out to me directly if you have questions on that for larger homes. As an example, what I'm recommending is that we do two separate systems, right? Two separate systems, each, 2 meter collars with 2 6C combiners and 2 sets of batteries, just because of the power, right? So you have a split bus and you break up that 400 amp service into 2 200 amp services. We don't have to dive into that here. That's not the purpose of this, but just as a note for you guys working in, let's say, higher socioeconomic neighborhoods, wealthy neighborhoods for 400 amp service panels, which are becoming more popular. Enphase has a recommendation, but certainly it's going to require, more work just in terms of the balance of systems. 15-year warranty, and then last but not least, the 6C combiner. Now, from Enphase as a company is super excited about the 6C combiner because it's really a differentiated, unique product, holding all of the aggregation and communication for your Enphase energy system. So there are breakers built into this, which include the 420 amp PV breakers. You can actually quad one of them to have 5, 2 80 amp, battery circuit breakers, 1 IQ EV circuit breaker. So yes, you can install an EV charger on the 6C combiner and shed and control that EV charger load. And then you have this 180 amp heavy load or third-party PV breaker. I'll take a moment here and pause on this specific heavy load breaker, because what heavy load shedding allows you to do is shed particular loads, whether on or off grid. So heavy load shedding could look as follows. The grid goes off, the battery starts powering up that air conditioning unit, and before the battery gets deeply discharged, let's say at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because they've been powering your AC when it's hot here in Southern California, they can turn off that load automatically through this heavy load breaker installed on the 6C combiner, right? The customer has some excess capacity for the rest of the evening, and they're not calling you because their AC unit depleted their battery relatively quickly, right? So that experience of that customization and control gives them the ability to turn off and on important loads in their home, let's say like AC breakers or other loads like lights in their refrigerator. They can shed and control those loads. Or let's say, for example, they're on grid, right? And we'll go back to dollars and cents. They can shed and control specific loads during certain times, depending on the billing rate at that time, to use that as a cost avoider, right? So two ways to use heavy load shedding. It's a little bit of a unique way to go about selling it, but now you can go to your clients and when in that probing stage, discuss with them on, well, if you were to, first, what is your end goal? Certainly, what do you want out of this? And then Enphase's system will allow you to flexibly set up, the battery and the loads in your home to what you want through customization and control through a set it and forget it mentality, right? Set up load control to turn on and off the AC unit at these times during these scenarios. And that way you have some excess battery capacity, or we're going to turn on and off different loads during peak times to help you save more money when, SCE as an example is charging 60 cents a kilowatt hour during the summer. All of these things you can use in your Batman utility bill to add more value and a better customer experience for your clients just through something as simple as load shedding. And on that same point, there is a note here about, let me pull up my laser pointer. There's a note here about this legacy PV breaker. I'll show you guys in a slide, but at the end of October, they're going to have the ability to tie in existing solar systems, right? SMA or old M series micros or old solar edge inverters, tie those directly into the 6C combiner. And then now they can use their existing solar system with new Enphase material and get their backup capability. Now, certainly if you're following my logic, the idea is that all those clients that you guys sold in years past, or from companies that went out of business or some combination therein, you can reach out to them and say, hey, I have a very easy kind of add-on or retrofit solution for you to help you achieve your goals, right? Whether it's they had PV only and the grid went off, their PV isn't running. Well, we're going to add in this new Enphase system to give you backup capability. I'm getting hammered with time of use rates and I need to add more battery. I don't have battery now, but I'm getting hammered by cost of power. Well, we're going to add into your existing system the 6C combiner with batteries, with the meter collar to give you the ability to save money during those peak times. So be sure, and I will give the timeline here in the next slide or two to think about, into next year. Right now, certainly the tax credit ending is giving a lot of, I think, demand for folks that want to invest this year. But for next year, there is, hundreds upon thousands of people out there with existing solar systems that would have a lower barrier to adoption when kind of re-engaged with new technology to achieve their energy and storage goals, just through something as simple as having a breaker included on a 6C combiner. Compatibility-wise, just like the battery works with all the IQ series microinverters and the 10C battery, and then later this year we'll work with the 5P battery. Comes with a 15-year warranty. So as you guys have maybe already noticed, everything in the 10C ecosystem on the ground comes with a 15-year warranty, while the microinverters, everything on the roof, comes with a 25-year warranty. This is on all of the major TPOs approvals, so GoodLeap, WhiteReach, Enfin, I think even Sunrun as of recently. So you have that in your back pocket as well from the finance side. And then the cellular modem, the last point here is that it comes with a 5-year warranty on the cellular modem, and the client can actually extend that to 5 more years right through their app, available via AT&T or T-Mobile. So again, I hope you can understand my excitement on the 6C combiner as a very differentiated solution to help your clients capture more value, right? Whether it's microinverters, maximizing their production, capturing the most power that they can out of the sun, to I'm going to utilize the 6C combiner to control or customize your home and your needs to save your battery capacity in the event that the grid goes off, or capture the maximum amount of savings when the grid is on via controlling your utilization of the storage that you've invested in. All with the 15-year warranty. Certainly the safest chemistry out there as well with the battery and these UL listings that we have. So more to come, certainly with the 10C, but the idea is that we can future-proof projects, right? So first and foremost, speaking to the financing, the 10C battery has been shipping and is kind of ready to rock and roll as of mid-August at 56.8% domestic content, right? So in a TPO environment, 56.8% is going to qualify for FIA, foreign entities of concern, because it's over by 45%. And certainly having the TPO approvals in a TPO environment is going to give you guys more flexibility than most, frankly. Having a partner like Enphase with a domestic content battery and micro, where cash 30% is going away, but certainly the 30% for the TPO market is going to be around for the next 2 years, I believe. Other features coming, it's the end of August already. Happy Labor Day. At the end of October, we talked about existing PV systems will be supported when the system's off grid. So end of October, when clients, that whole argument of those existing clients with those old SolarEdge or SMA systems, end of October, we're going to have the 6E combiner have compatibility that when the grid goes off, the new system can charge that system. The new system being the Enphase PV system can charge the batteries when the system's off grid with those legacy systems, third party or non-third party, meaning SMA or SolarEdge or even something like Enphase M series micros, coming at the end of October. And then last but not least in red, in target by the end of this year, is that the IQ battery 5P will be supported in the 10C and 6C combiner based systems. So having the ability, because I maybe should have mentioned this earlier, but the 10C can only be installed in 10 kilowatt hour increments at this moment. So if you want to get 15 kilowatt hours, the goal is that by the end of this year, you could do one 10C and one 5P to achieve 15 kilowatt hours if your client has those needs. So the 10C is certainly going to be the kind of step forward in terms of Enphase in our roadmap, and we're certainly not getting rid of the 5P. Let me just add that we're not getting rid of the 5P. We're not getting rid of that product. But certainly the 10C has a lot of advantages when compared to the 5P in terms of space, power, warranty, the features coming out, load shedding, et cetera, et cetera. Meter collar approvals, I'll go through this relatively quickly. We are approved in all of these meter collar jurisdictions. You'll see almost over 30 of them, right? In California, we had SDG&E. You'll see several on here. The website down here has the latest, and again, you'll get these slides, but also head over to enphase.com. You can see all the meter collars that are approved as of today. Under their meter utilities that are approving it, I want to be very clear about PG&E and SCE for my California folks, is that we are in their pilot program. So what this means is that, yes, people are selling and installing the meter collar in PG&E and SCE territory. But what is happening is that we're helping, SCE and PG&E respectively with having, on-site support. They need to go through their witness testing. So I don't want there to be any concern because it is in the drop-down menus for both PG&E and SCE. And it's just one of those things where we want to support them as we get this meter collar out in the field. There's certainly others that we're working on right now all across the U.S. Popular solar markets, Hawaii working with HECO, in Illinois working with ComEd, in other solar markets, Utah, Dixie, and Rocky Mountain Power, California, Pacific Power. So again, be sure to check out our website. That has the latest and greatest meter collar approvals, and certainly others that are reviewing. In some jurisdictions, gang, the meter collar will not be allowed to be installed on the meter main. This is a little bit of a confusing point here for some folks, and that is because maybe just these utilities don't want to have it on their meter main for whatever reason, right? Which is totally fine because Enphase has a solution for which we call a meter pan or a meter socket. And all that is a separate box that the meter collar lives on to allow for whole home backup scenarios. So a lot here on this list as well. We are working with a lot of them, but something important to note that if it's not allowing a meter collar on a meter socket, the separate or on the meter main, let's say in California, you will just install this separate box. And Enphase has a lot of resources online about what SKUs we recommend, how to go through with that, how to sell that even, where you're still getting whole home backup, but again, this is a utility restriction, not an Enphase restriction. And you'll see some like California's LADWP, other solar markets, Utah, SGE, SD, so on and so forth. So part of being in sales is dollars and cents, right? Strictly put, right? A lot of folks see the cost of anything in life, and we need to make it dollars and cents, whether it's buying a car, investing in the stock market, and investing in solar. And so I want to add into my earlier comment about load shifting and how load shifting saves money and provides a superior customer experience versus a non-load shifting system, right? So Enphase systems can forecast production while tracking energy rates, let's say in markets like California, to discharge the battery during these peak times. So every aspect of the system can be controlled to maximize savings just via load shifting, right? Using that 80 amp load shedding breaker and shifting and, let's say, controlling or customizing that load to discharge the battery to then be powered, those loads then powered from the battery to save them money. Like I said, in Edison, it's what, 60 cents a kilowatt hour. So load shifting is going to be a unique way that you guys can differentiate yourselves as sales professionals by offering something that's unique and just, hey, it's not just backup, it's going to help you save money. And how's it going to save you money? Discharging the battery when power costs the most. Costs the most. In markets where you're like, wow, this doesn't matter to me, I can tell you right now that if your utility is not doing a TOU rate, I would put my bottom dollar that at some point they will, right? Because as more solar gets deployed, TOU rates help utilities make their money back because of high billing. And let's take it at California or Hawaii as an example. The cost of power in TOU rates, it's certainly not going down in trend, right? It's only going up in trend. Cost of power and need for energy is going to get even more strict, right? Data centers are popping up because of AI, right? The grid is already strained as is. Solar is here to stay. And you guys are now armed with a product to help your clients save money and protect their family and home in the event of an outage. And the same logic with an EV charger. So Enphase, as you guys may or may not know, Enphase has EV chargers, right? And Enphase's smart EV charger can be powered and adjusted to use only solar power. So the same logic as load shifting, right? Where in basic charging, the EV charging would exceed the solar power in the middle of the day or afternoon, and they have to purchase that from the grid. It's very expensive, right? Well, with Enphase's smart EV charger, they can adjust to only use solar power. And again, the same logic of, hey, we're using this as a cost avoidance strategy. So that way you're not paying X or Y during these peak times. That's another notch in the Batman belt of tactics that you can use when communicating with folks on why Enphase. Well, more production, longer warranty, more features and capabilities to capture savings because of smart EV charging or load shifting or securing your home and family in the event of an outage via meter collar. That's what I'm getting at. So all these different tactics hopefully are kind of swimming through your mind right now of how next year, the old, hey, backup system sales tactics may have worked, but we have to always keep improving, always keep trying new things. And Enphase, I think, is getting there with some of this new ways to think about it. One of my last slides here is grid services, right? So there are so many programs throughout the country, and I'll recommend, depending on where you live, check out the link in the top right, where these grid services programs help homeowners reduce the barrier to entry by providing upfront or annual incentives from utilities. So in California, there's in San Diego SDCP, which can give up to a $4,000 upfront incentive. In California, SCHIP incentive program, where they're giving families, low-income families, up to 1,100 kilowatt hours for storage. In other states, there's other programs in the Northeast, as an example, Connected Solutions, or in Arizona or in Utah, right? All these programs, depending on where you're selling it, get familiar with these programs, team, because at the end of the day, when the tax credit goes away, you're going to want to have something that you can add more value with by saying, well, you have all these things on the product side we talked about, but are you interested in learning more about a program the utility runs that's going to help your return on investment drop from 12 years to 8 years, or from 8 years to 5 years? Would you be less interested in learning more? You go to Grid Services, you can read more about what's required. And again, another thing that will help them, if finance is their goal or the financial aspect of solar and storage is their goal, help them reduce their long-term cost. And then a lot of times, ROI within 10 years, pay off their system. So in one final slide, Enphase is all about providing our partners with the best value and performance, right? Whether it's with having the longest product warranty, superior reliability and safety, maximizing the solar production and power, systems that are space efficient and flexible depending on size and location, and having that best-in-class service. Speaking of best-in-class service, because we are the best partner, having 24/7 support, right? 2-minute wait time, having 300 support agents in the field, resources for installer folks and homeowner folks for generating RMAs, getting support, working with support. All of these things are intangibles that Enphase has that, again, helps you guys feel comfortable selling and working with the Enphase brand. And our team of nationwide field service technicians, almost 100 field service technicians, help all of our partners, every stakeholder in solar, have success with selling and installing or managing their Enphase system. So I want to shout out this group because technical support is something that's not talked about, I think, enough, in my opinion, because it is so important, right? Buyer's remorse is very real in solar, unfortunately, and Enphase has a team here that helps prevent buyer's remorse through service and support. I just went through that. I don't know what happened twice. And that is the end of my slide deck. It is 10:50. So I know we have, maybe 10 more minutes left. I will end my screen share, and I saw a bunch of questions in the chat. So I'm going to pop those up. John, we have done some phone tag. It's been keeps me on my toes, John. Eowyn's in a bathtub. That's nice. It's cool. Tom, yeah, question for later is a string inverter example. It could be SMA or like a Tesla string inverter. It could be any of the, like a Solar Edge, any of those existing string inverters from previous.
On the previous, so you're not putting micros underneath those panels, but that breaker in the combiner allows you to connect those older systems.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Stu, why are we better than Tesla? Anybody on the call want to help answer that for me? Because I feel like that we just went through a lot.
My reply to Stu is going to be just wait and listen to the whole training.
Benita, no, the meter collar is approved in all those other states I showed on the slides before. And I hope that, BMW's not at the bottom of this yet. But meter collar is approved in other states outside of California. That's great to know. Now I see the message. Great. EV circuit breaker with the combiner allows for what features? Still need outlet, but certain charging devices work better. Yeah, so the EV circuit breaker with the combiner allows for that EV charger to be turned off and on, similar to load shedding or smart charging to charge only from the solar. Do certain charging devices work better? I actually don't know. That's a good question. I know Enphase certainly recommends our charger, clearly. So I'll recommend that.
Is that still Clipper Creek, Alex? Or
no, I think at this point, I've heard a couple people mention that name. But like very old. I think at this point it's all Enphase EV.
Okay.
Branded. Julian, you can use it for non-export. Yes, sir. Would you need a meter socket for the second meter collar on a 400 amp panel? Yes, Bill. For a meter socket on a second meter collar on a 400 amp panel, you would use the meter pan in that scenario. Bill, reach out to me or even Enphase directly. We have some resources that can help with those 400 amp panels. Bernasso, correct. Allows meter collar on a separate device.
So they don't do like a attached to the meter?
No, it's got to be a separate box. Yeah.
Okay.
We are working with them on it. And again, it's really just LADWP just doesn't want to, in essence. So like it's kind of tricky, even though it's certainly a proven technology and very safe. They have, I think, their own perspective on it, which is
Yeah.
okay. We're just trying to work with them, make them feel comfortable.
I'm surprised they approved it at all. So
Well, we're working on it, so
Yeah.
we're gonna get there. Do you have a micro model chart with clipping percentage and panel wattage? I believe I do. Vanessa, I'll get back to you on that.
it's always handy to know which wattage to which micro, and then
Yeah,
if there's clipping or not, and that little matrix is nice.
yeah, I've seen some things around there on that. Let me look into that some more.
Right.
Grid service is similar to VPP in California, exactly the same. VPP is basically what grid services is, just in a different nomenclature. Chris, do we have the ability to sell just a meter collar, gateway, and battery on older systems? Not today. Today, if you wanted to use the meter collar, you got to use the 6C combiner and the 10C battery, or the meter collar with the 5P battery and the system controller 3M.
I don't know if you've spoken to Owen Carey much, but he always likes to ask how a generator can be factored into the solution.
Question I've gotten a lot, not only just from Owen, but coming next year.
Cool.
Like a good movie coming next year. Paramount. Enphase need heat detector if installed inside. But that depends on the jurisdiction. That's really a jurisdictional requirement. They need a heat detector. LA, they are requiring heat detectors inside, or even sprinkler systems. That's really per jurisdiction. Enphase as a company doesn't, but SCE in a garage in LA proper, LA City, may require a heat detector. And that's where you gotta go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, LA County is even worse than like inland San Bernardino counties, Riverside counties. Right. They want things beyond heat detectors, obviously bollards. I think that might be a good place to ask where the placement of the battery ideally should go. Like a south-facing unshaded wall is probably not the best idea in a hot Palm Springs area, whereas east or west or north is ideal. But any just common feedback for that question?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Although, all our batteries are outdoor rated, and I always recommend to folks, if going outside, yes, you can put it in direct rain or sun. Like that is totally possible, but I always recommend to folks, try and keep it out of direct rain or sun. That was something I even talked about at my previous company. If possible, you keep it out of direct rain or sun. It'll just help. The elements out here are brutal, right? Especially whether it's in the desert and coastal environments. You want to have even maybe a little bit of protection, although it can be installed outside. That's obviously the whole point of why we have it IP rated to the level that it's at. That was always just guidance I learned as a battery guy, was try to do that because it'll help with the performance of the system, especially in high heat. Now we don't have cold temperatures. For batteries, cold temperatures are usually not good. So that's where in cold environments, when I worked back on the East Coast, I had a couple folks who they put their batteries outside, but they would literally install it in a separate shed with a space heater. And they were okay with that because they were like, hey, look, I get it. These cold temperatures are just going to, really kind of hurt my battery. So they were okay with building an extra kind of a shed in that instance. But that's been my general guidance in my, almost 10 years of working in solar. Well, Benita, it can work. But it's just it's just like anything else, right? You have to kind of figure out where it's going to be installed, what other things you can add into to help the battery performance over the lifespan. So batteries in general are not good in cold. That's why EV chargers or electric vehicles, their capacity drops in cold weather. Same thing.
Alex, can you speak to someone that might say, with the DC turning to AC on the roof, then coming down and then needing to go in a battery that's DC, and then the house needing to take it back at AC. Just any new comments on that with this new technology? Like, yes, I'm sure there's a % or two loss, but the benefits outweigh the negatives. Or like, can you speak to that comment?
Totally. And I think the what's the word I'm looking for? Efficiency loss. I get that quite a lot of, hey, well, you're losing efficiency. It is marginal, to be fair. But I think that's where there's other features that are included in the 10C that say, yes, you're losing some efficiency, but you have load shedding now, right? Or a longer warranty. So yes, you may lose 1% or 2 here or there, but that's certainly not, my opinion at least, not a make or break when selling a system. It's, well, yes, you may lose 1% or 2, but here are some other things that differentiate Enphase as an offering that give you more flexibility, as an example, or more control than just a kind of discharge charge battery. It is a thing. Efficiency losses are a thing. It is maybe marginal, but that's maybe how I respond and say, look, I understand it's not going to be a lot over the tenure of the system, but here are some other things that you can be excited about when investing into Enphase: load shedding, grid services, more production, and then kind of work down your laundry list.
Awesome.
Good question. Really good question. I saw a note there. I mean, another thing, Tom actually reminded me, Stu, why are we better than Tesla? Some allegedly, I'm not talking to homeowners, I know that some homeowners do not like Tesla. So now, allegedly, you could go to those folks that don't like Tesla and have a very comparable solution with the meter collar, with a battery, and now the combiner in either one of those scenarios, right? And I'm going to leave that there and just
and
say
a few more bucks also. But as we transition to TPO, I mean, that few more bucks will be negligible. And if it's on the AVL and you can differentiate yourself that way with a TPO world, then that might start to get interesting.
Yeah, totally. Good question, though. And Tom, thank you. I was just reading through the chat. I did see that. Again, allegedly, I do not talk to homeowners. I don't know, but I have heard that from other folks as well.
It's because those batteries are made in China. Just kidding. All right, y'all. We're at the top of the hour. Leave some love for Alex and Enphase in the chat, please. Give them a shout out. Say thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
We're going to go ahead and get this recording shared as well to the team on Facebook and the group chats. Alex, are you going to be at RE Plus in Vegas?
I sure will be. Hope to see you guys all there. It's going to be a heck of a time. Cool. Man, already next week. So yeah, I think Enphase has a booth. We'll have the band there. If you're welcome to stop by, I'll be there. And thank you guys all so much for your attention, the good questions. Really looking forward to connecting with you all and staying in touch.
Right on. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, team.
Thanks, guys.